Dun, dun, dun. It's that time of the year, guys. You know what time it is. It's the summer. Transfer windows open. It means it's time to get the famous Excel sheet out, the Uncle Sharma Excel sheet, where we talk about the potentials of Inter's summer transfer window and the realistic way of looking at Inter's transfer window. So, if you want to be an informed Interista or non-Interista who's just looking into what Inter could be doing this summer, then this is the video for you. If you want to be ignorant and avoid all this, which I understand as well, it's modern football and people are fed up of like fans having to become accountants. I understand that. I get that. But it also helps us understand the decision making that the directors of clubs, why they make certain decisions, why they make certain transfers. So this is not what I am going to do, or we can have some little bit of suggestions and maybe some creativity in there. And of course, your comments down below what you would do. But I'm just going to lay out to you guys what was the situation of Inter's squad cost, which is the most important thing. People only talk about, the transfer fees and the wages. No, it's about the squad cost, which is the wages plus amortization, which is the transfer fees spread over the players' contract years. And that gives you the total cost of the squad, which last year for Inter was 198 million euros roundabout. And shout out, by the way, to Mr. Alpha Bravo. If you are listening and watching, thank you for helping me finalize my spreadsheet. His one is way more in depth than my one. But for you guys, my one is just more top line, just to help you visualize better here on the screen and just make life easier for all of us. So this is Inter 24-25, just giving you quick just overview of how things were looking, the status quo of Serie A. Inter were the team with the highest salary last season, 140 million. Next up was only Juve and Milan. So in terms of our total salary, we definitely underperformed. We finished second behind Napoli, who are lower than all the other top teams that you can see here. And of course, by squad cost as well. Napoli are actually quite close to Inter in terms of squad cost. So that's the, as I said, the transfer fees, amortization, all that stuff. But this is where Juve were top. So my prediction when we talked about this last year was that I think Oak Tree are going to definitely try to reduce, not focus maybe too much on the squad cost, but definitely try to get these salaries down by next season. And of course, that's already been helped by some of the outgoings that were our contract. Arnautovic, little celebration, is gone, which was 4 million gross salary per year plus his amortization. It was almost 8 million cost. He cost us 8 million a year, pretty much. Correa, this always shocks me, even though I've seen this so many times, but it always shocks me and it shocks Interisti. This guy cost us 15 million a year. He was an astounding flop for Inter. He is gone. His massive wages are gone. So that's already just from these two guys, about 23 million in savings. Then we also have this guy, Radu. We got rid of this guy to Venezia. I think now he's a Celta Vigo thing, actually. But anyway, regardless, he has gone off the book. So he's 3.4 million. So you've already got, around 25 million cost savings right there. And what's this? This was my sheet from last year, actually, where I was projecting last summer. You can see we were toying around with the idea of Jonathan David, agent fee. Yeah, we weren't too far off. I mean, I think this was what Inter offered. So we weren't too far off. What ended up his move to Juve was 6 million net plus bonuses, which is why Inter didn't sign him. But I think in the previous ownership under Zhang, Marotta would have probably pushed the boat out a little bit more to get Jonathan David over the line. But anyway, how are things looking this year? So with those guys going out, Correa, Arnautovic, Radu, as we said, but we also had guys coming in. So at the moment, with the guys coming in, Enrique, Zalewski, Sucic, Bonni, Inter already shelled out more than 67 million euros in transfer fees without a sale, guys, without a sale, which hasn't happened for a long, long time. So credit where it's due to Oak Tree. I have been saying this and predicting this in my video all year that because of the increased revenues, I've been saying to you guys, expect spending from Oak Tree, and they have done it. And it's not, I'm not giving him too much credit because this is, if you want to help your investment. Inter is an investment to them for this investment fund. You have to invest into the investment. You have to pump money into it. And this year we've had increased revenues. I mean, actually, if I go back to this sheet here, Inter's net profits over the years, we've been negative, negative, negative. This year, 2025, actually, we might be seeing, as we've been saying, first time in a very, very long time, a plus. I think some people are estimated it could be plus 10, plus 20. Let's see what it could be. But because of this, means positive cash flow for Inter, the Club World Cup money coming in, all of that means, you know, actual liquidity and money for Oaktree to invest. No, they don't have to pump anything in. This is all coming back from the amazing year Inter is having financially. So this is where the investment is coming from. And again, remember when Oaktree took over, my prediction, my discussion with you guys was expect what basically AC Milan have been doing. So signings, the golden zone for the signings will be between the 15 to 30 million euro. And you see that here, aside from Zalewski, who was a bargain loan option that we had, an opportunity on the market. All the other ones you can see, Sucic will be, I think, with his bonuses around 16, 17, but I've just gone with the initial fees for all the players here, that golden zone of players that Milan have been signing, and now moving forward, I think you will see Inter signing rather than free transfers. You'll see Inter signing these players, and again, sweet zone for the age as well. Between 21, 26 years of age. Here, even younger. I think the oldest player here is it Luis Enrique? I think 22, 23. So all of these players very, very young, in line with what we expected with this new Oaktree project. And they have added in, Correa Arnautovic out, Radu out. These guys have come in, Luis Enrique, Sucic, Zalewski, Boni. Now the total cost for Inter has gone to 204 million, let's say, total. And the salary has increased from, 140 to 146 or 147, let's say. So definitely Oaktree need to continue investing we need to continue buying in this transfer window, but that doesn't mean that this is the end of the transfer window because we're over budget, let's say. I think Oaktree here need to make a decision, ideally, probably, let's say they want to reduce the salaries and that they want to reduce the overall cost. But I think after the year that we had, and of course, this is probably not the way Oaktree are thinking, but after the year that we had, where we missed out by such a small margin on all of our trophies, which doesn't really mean much to Oaktree at the end of the day, but for fans, if they want to sell more season tickets, they want to create excitement, they want to create value for this team, winning trophies at least, on a visual merit or a, prestige merit does create value for, potential buyers, the added bonuses you get from sponsors, the better contracts you get from sponsors as well. If you are the winning team, I think it makes sense for them to, after the year that we had, to not be too much, trying to push things down. Like, I understand definitely the salaries. I think they might want to push them down, already, we were on 140 last year. They probably wanted to reduce to 135, at least 5% the reduction. That's going to be a big job on their hands. But as we know, there are going to be some exits to help Inter. And let's start talking about those exits, because those exits can now create more space for incomings, because after spending 67 million with no outgoings, there will be needed some sales. So if Hakan leaves, guys, Inter will save quite a lot of money, around 12 million due to his wages. I've put very, very conservative figures here in terms of the sales, the money to be made from these sales. So for Hakan, as you guys heard me say last few videos, I think it's going to be like a Brozovic situation where we may end up really underselling him. His real value should be at least 30, 35 million. But Galatasaray, they're buying Osimhen. Do they actually have money to spend for the transfer fee? Probably not. But, let's say we get 20. Bisek, this could be Pavard as well. So again, this is not a prediction. This is just, I'm going off the most recent rumors or the most kind of more sources have been talking about these rumors, the realistic outlook. So could be Pavard. Pavard would be a much bigger saving on the books, of course, bigger salary amortization. But we'll probably get less money for Pavard. Bisek again, maybe could be more than 35 million, but let's just say 35 million. Aslani, I think he's one of the definites. You think his time at Inter has come to an end. Whether it's Real Betis, today we heard rumors of Bologna. 15 could be a difficulty to get if these types of teams are interested. I was hoping for some Premier League interest because those teams are the ones with the money. But let's just say maybe this one is the one that we might not get the money that I'm putting in here. 15. Buchanan definitely, apparently into 115, but I think we need to cut losses or just make the money back on Buchanan. I've put 10 in there. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to sell him for less. Buchanan, unfortunately, just numerically, Zalewski can play left wing back. Luis Enrique could play there. Darmian can play there. Carlos Augusto obviously can play there. Di Marco is a starter there. Right wing back, same. Luis Enrique, Darmian, Dumfries. I've not put Dumfries as leaving for now. I'm maybe being hopeful or just thinking that not really any team is actually going to pull the trigger for a 29-year-old Dumfries right now. I could be wrong, but that's just my thing here. But we can change it's easy to make the calculation there if you want to put Dumfries leaving. His 9 million cost saving would be like the equivalent of almost like a Hakan leaving. Taremi, let's see. I think that one is definitely more and more rumors are picking up that Inter do want to cut losses on Taremi. I don't think we're going to get any money for Taremi, to be honest. I think it might be one of the ones that you might even have to pay him off for like a minimal fee, very, very minimal. So, I might even actually just change it to like 2 or something. We might even actually have to pay him off. Palacios, the young centre-back, again, numerically, and just, experience-wise, I think he just needs a loan out to a better team than Monza, a team that's not hopefully fighting for relegation. Or fighting for relegation isn't too bad. It's just Monza were just completely dead and gone by January already. So I'm not putting a transfer fee out for him, just his cost saving there. Alexander Stankovic. Filip Stankovic is already gone. Actually, I should have put Filip Stankovic's 2 million here as well. As that we made that money from Venezia, taking the option. Alexander Stankovic, we're selling him for 10 million. I think we should be aiming for more, but apparently we are pushing for a resale clause in there, which is fantastic. Seba Esposito, we need to get at least 10 million. He's on his final year of his contract, so we can't get that much. But after scoring 10, 11 goals last season for Empoli, 23 years old, we should be getting at least 10 million. And Van Huysden, he still exists. This guy costs us around 3 million on the books every year if we don't loan him out. Just get this guy out of his misery and cut the cord. He's on his final year of his contract. Let's just get whatever we can get for this guy. So from those sales, potentially, and these are all realistic sales, but of course, this is where Inter do struggle. Auxilio, Marotta, let's be real, they have struggled over the last years in the sale department. When it's the big players, Lukaku, Onana, the big sale, Hakimi, the guys that you don't need to get their value up. These guys are world class or had a world class season. Everyone wants them. Easy to sell well. Where we have struggled is getting rid of the Vecinos, the Gagliardinis, the Sensis, the Lazzaros, all these types of players. Correa. This year is probably going to be Taremi, Buchanan, these types of players. So this is where the directors need to make Inter money and earn their money. But there's a potential of over 100 million to be made in sales. Realistic sales, and over 33 million in cost savings from these guys, which means, and now let's get to the exciting part, when you hear rumors of Rovella, Ederson, Frendrup, Hjulmund, especially Ederson and Rovella, the expensive ones, Inter fans are asking, is this realistic? Can Oak Tree do this? Guys, let me tell you this, no smoke screen, full realism. On this channel, I always try to never sugarcoat things for you guys. When I've said in the past that don't expect much from the Mercato, that's happened. Last summer we did basically nothing outside of Zielinski, Taremi, and Pep Martinez. This summer, from on top of what we've already done. I'm telling you, especially if some of these sales are made, we need to demand and expect these types of signing from Oak Street, because it's very, very possible. A Rovella, if Hakan goes out with his 12 million cost out of the window and money made from other sales as well, which is important to be fair still. A Rovella on a 50 million, let's just say we make Lotito happy, we pay the release clause, 50 million, 4 million net salary for Rovella, could be less, could be more. 5-year contract, that's an 18 yearly cost. Very, very doable. That is expensive, yes, that puts him in the Lautaro Martinez category of yearly cost, actually makes him the most expensive player in our team. But that is the cost and investment that you have to put in to replace someone as important as Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Ederson actually is even cheaper. You think Ederson, Atalanta maybe might push for more, even if, let's say, Atalanta push for 55, 60, actually. They just saw Retegui for like 70 million. So now Atalanta are going to be even more hard team to deal with. But let's say you sign a guy like Ederson, because he is foreign, because he is not Italian, Inter would benefit from the growth decree, tax benefit, less gross salary, and actually Ederson will cost even less than Rovella, around 15 million. So very, very realistic. Inter can sign, of course, if Hakan leaves, Inter definitely can easily sign a 50, 60 million player if the salary is around the 4 or 5 million pound mark, which Rovella and Ederson definitely would be. The guys like, if we're saying Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea, then it starts to get tricky, because obviously at Chelsea earns a lot of money and those types. That would be kind of like my dream signing, but that's probably that's not realistic. But these two, definitely realistic. Centre back, big talking point. Acerbi, De Vrij, even if they stay, a Scalvini or a Leone, 30 million, 5-year contract, 3 million net salary. That is very, very doable. Again, depends on these sales being made. Maybe one of De Vrij and Acerbi leaving. Probably Acerbi, let's say Acerbi accepts the offer that, according to reports, he is looking to, or might be tempted by Inzaghi in Saudi Arabia. That spot for the centre back position definitely opens, and that is definitely doable. Now, the one that I'm going to be real is not going to happen unless this is only going to happen if someone big leaves up front. It has to be a Lautaro, or probably more realistically a Thuram. Minimum, obviously, Taremi has to leave. Last 2 days we've heard the rumors of Nkunku from Chelsea, Asensio from PSG. These would be loans, expensive loans probably, with expensive salaries. Nkunku's is 6.5 million net. Asensio's is like 4 million net plus bonuses. But let's just assume they're both on 6 million net. Plus a loan fee, maybe like a 5 million. That's for the year, you're talking about 13 million investment. That is probably very, very unlikely, unless, as I said, unless you're talking about getting rid of a Thuram. Minimum has to be a Taremi, because then financially you get rid of a Taremi, then it's fine. You can add a Nkunku in there, but then again, then you start, that's a big investment to make. Then you have to also guarantee him some playing time. He's not going to come on loan if he's also going to be on the bench at Inter. But if Inter are looking for more of an alternative in the 3-4-2-1, Nkunku is kind of like an attacking midfielder / winger hybrid striker profile, or Asensio. It could happen. I'm not saying it's out of the picture, but it could happen for sure. But it depends on outgoings up front. What could be more realistic is probably what I read today, like a choice within Italy. Like today I read a rumor of Daniel Maldini from Atalanta, cheaper Italian way. Maybe it could be like a Orsolini, I don't know, like it's just any type of those kind of signings that could cost you 10, 15, 20 million, not too high cost. Gives you the option to play the 3-4-2-1, 3-4-1-2. That's definitely on the cards, for sure. And then you could also still have room for, we haven't talked about the potential Zoma. We heard the rumors of Zoma going to Galatasaray. This again would be probably, we have to get a minimal fee from Galatasaray, maybe like 1 million or 2 million or whatever his book value is. Then what I could see Inter doing is make Pep Martinez number one for one season, maybe get Filip Stankovic back from Venezia as the number two, because we have a 50% resale clause on them with them. So we still have quite a bit of leeway and leverage with Venezia to get him back. And then if Donnarumma doesn't renew his contract, the Marotta special free transfer for next year, big investment, probably a lot of money to spend for a goalkeeper, but generally Donnarumma might be the guy that makes it all possible. So definitely, guys, it is lining up to be a very, very interesting and fun summer. And of course, I put these guys here, the loans, very minimal value on the books. I didn't even bother to kind of spend too much time looking at their wages, like all minimal. Pio Esposito renewed his contract, so he's now, I think, reportedly earning 1 million net. But all the other guys, very, very minimal money earned. So it doesn't really matter too much. Valentin Carboni could be on his way on loan to Genoa. But as I said, could be, we've already signed 4 players, but we need more investment. Now the important thing for the directors is make some sales, sort out the Hakan situation for sure. That's a big one, whether he's staying, whether he's going. If Hakan is staying, then this changes a lot. Then there's still leeway there for sure to get in. Then you get you can get a different midfield profile if Hakan is staying to replace Aslani for sure, because Aslani looks like he's definitely leaving. Regardless, there is room for moves to be made. The important thing is Marotta Ausilio need to have less dinners or more dinners. They're famous for their dinners around Milano and hotels around, or restaurants around the world for their negotiations and agent talks. But they need to make sure that money is coming back into Inter to sell these guys that are surplus to requirements and raise the ceiling and raise the floor. Because I think these initial signings have somewhat raised the floor of Inter squad. Boni coming in. I mean, this is all hypothetical, of course, right now. I think the only signing that I'm doubting right now, especially after Inzaghi has left, because I thought maybe Enrique was a specific ask and approval of Inzaghi, is Luis Enrique. But all of these guys, I mean, Zalewski we already kind of had last season, but Sucic, I think, even if you play him as a CDM, Regista, and in the Mezzala position, I think he's already an upgrade on Aslani. Boni surely is an upgrade on the awful version that we saw of Taremi last year, Correa, Arnautovic. So the floor has been raised. What we need to raise now is also the ceiling, the potential of this Inter team. The starters also need to be pushed. And the potential of the starting 11 needs to be raised as well, because other Serie A teams are not resting on their laurels. Scudetto champions Napoli are not resting on their laurels. So get the sales done, but then inject quality into the starting 11, push these starters. No one's starting spot should be guaranteed. And it's going to be a very interesting and fun summer up ahead. And hopefully I've given you guys a little bit of an understanding of how, things work in the background. Again, this is a very high level, top level explanation of it, but hopefully this gives you an understanding of how things work in the background, how squad cost works, and what potential moves Inter could make and what realistic ones are on the cards. These videos take effort to make, so hopefully you guys enjoy. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll try to keep updating the sheet as the summer goes on and update you by the end of the transfer window how Inter are looking. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Ciao ragazzi. Always, Forza Inter.